AWS backup service has evolved a lot in the last 2 years. Previously, there were a lot of features which were not available in this backup service, but now, as we enter into 2023, AWS backup service is competitive with any third-party tool which is available in the market to back up your EC2 instances or RDSs or any other compute in the AWS cloud fleet. With AWS backup service, which is very tightly integrated with other AWS services, you can easily create backup plans where you can set the frequency and other settings for your backup retention, and then it will automatically back up your EC2 instances, even your EKS cluster, storage, and databases in RDS. You can also generate reporting and auditing information out of this AWS backup service. There is also support for AWS CLI and also the AWS SDK. These days, ransomware is a huge thing. All the organizations are really worried about ransomware as the threat looms large. Ransomware refers to a business model and a wide range of associated technologies that bad actors use to extort money from the entities. AWS has this backup service to help protect critical systems and sensitive data from ransomware. AWS makes this process significantly easier with backup solution. This lets you centrally manage and protect data through regular automated backups and restore this data from the backup as needed. These are the four best practices you should be following if you are using AWS backup service to prevent the ransomware. The first and foremost is that you should control the access to the backup vault. Backup vault is where the immutable backups are placed from the AWS backup service so that no one would be able to tamper them. These vaults are configurable to support the permissions via your IAM policies, which are the resource-based policies. So you should be using the IAM policies to prevent deletion of the backup vault itself, and you can also use service control policies from the AWS organizations for this purpose. Also, you can prevent copying from the vault to AWS account outside of your AWS organization. Another best practice is to make sure to encrypt the backup vault separately, and you can use customer managed key or a service specific default key for this purpose. This is important because encrypting the vault with a different AWS KMS key than the backup resources will limit the access to the backup vault to a different principal than the principal with access to your resource. For the vault KMS key, you should be creating a KMS resource policy to limit the access. The next best practice is to protect the vault against deletion. And as I said mentioned earlier, that you can use service control policies from your AWS organization to prevent this vault deletion. A very important factor in terms of preventing the ransomware is to make sure that your backups are placed in a separate account than your production workload or where the origin resources are placed. If you place the backup or replication into a separate account dedicated just for the backup, then this helps reduce the likelihood that a threat actor could destroy or tamper with the backup. AWS Backup Service now natively supports this cross account capability, which makes the backup process even more accessible. I hope that this is useful. If you're not using AWS Backup Service, I would highly suggest to evaluate it and then compare it to your third party tool which you are using, and I'm sure that you will appreciate the ease, the cost optimization, and other features of AWS Backup Service. If you have any comments or feedback, please put them down in the video.